So we've discussed that there are different stages of learning, both cognitively and also from a coordination perspective. So how do we progress through those stages? That's the important aspect in terms of coaching and in terms of coaching technique. So repetition creates observable plastic changes in the brain. Again, I like to include some of this evidence because it's all hard evidence. And what that means is it's evidence that we can literally see what's happening in the brain. And it's not a study, for example, which is created, which is open to interpretation, whether that would apply to the real world or not. So repetition creates observable plastic changes in the brain. However, reward speeds up the process dramatically. So when we talk about rewards from a neuroscientific perspective, then we're talking about the dopamine molecule, which occurs when we achieve a goal which we have set for ourselves, or even when we feel like we're on the way to achieving a goal which we've set for ourselves. Now, there's a drug called levodopa, which is used for Parkinson's patients, and Parkinson's is an illness where there's a lack of dopamine or a problem with the dopamine receptors. And when you give levodopa to people who have a normal functioning brain, that floods the brain with more dopamine. And what we see is that the brain becomes more plastic and more amenable to learning new information with the increased dopamine inside. So what we can link to that is that when we have success, that makes the new habits form faster. Why that is because our brain wants us to memorize whatever allowed us to be successful. It's an ancestral trait which came through evolution. Essentially, if you started to walk one day in one direction that you'd never been before, and you came across a range of trees and plants which were growing fresh fruits, then that would provide you food, in a period in the year where perhaps you need to eat. So of course, your brain wants to remember how you got there and what you did to get there, and it wants to make it pleasurable for you to suffer the long distance journey to go there again the next day to get the food. So dopamine is there to make us want to do the things which previously made us successful. Of course, we also know that dopamine is released with certain addictive substances, and it works through the same system. But again, that's why different substances and also other behaviors, for example, gambling, become addictive, because there's a flood of dopamine and you want to chase that dopamine rush again the next time. But that also occurs when we achieve success with a goal that we've set out to do, and that was the evolutionary benefit. We also should know that there are two different visual systems.